Hey guys, Phil Denton here. May 25th, 2020, still in quarantine, but it is Memorial Day, so it's a 3-day weekend. If you will indulge me, I'd like to tell you about a friend of mine, if you will stick with me for a few minutes. His name is Bernard Paul Corpuz. I usually call him Corpuz, Corpuz, because we were roommates in AIT, which is like job school for the Army. So 9/11 happened when I was a sophomore in college, and I changed majors a little bit after that. I kind of didn't really know what I was doing with my life in my early 20s. I wasn't too sure about college. I felt bad about wasting my parents' money because they helped out with college a lot, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. My grades were slipping. So I thought maybe I was supposed to serve my country. I'd had 3 cousins that served before me. My grandfather was in World War II, so I thought, maybe I should serve my country. So I enlisted in December of 2003. I went to basic in January of 2004, came back, did some more school, and then 2005 I went to AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. So it's like your job-specific training for the Army in January of 2005 in Arizona. So I went there. It was a 6-month program, but about halfway through, your roommates, they tried to keep roommates in the same training class, but it didn't always work out that way. So halfway through training, I got a new roommate named Corpus, and he was this really thin guy, really skinny guy. He probably only weighed like 135 pounds or something, 5'6" or 5'7", just a littler guy. But super smart. He was a French linguist. He had just come from the Army's Defense Language, or the DoD's Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California. Beautiful. It's like the best place to be posted in the military is Monterey, California. You get to run by the cliffs of the sea, But he was a French linguist. It took 6 months, but he learned French while he was there. He loved hair metal. He was a few years older than me, so he was born, I think, in the late 70s. So he grew up in the 80s a little bit more than I did. So he loved hair metal, like Scorpion and White Snake, and Dokken was his favorite. He introduced me to Dokken for the first time, but loved hair metal. And we used to watch Team America over and over and over again. We just thought that the little puppets doing the stupid stuff were just the stupidest thing. It was so funny. There's one line in the movie where like the puppet guy and the puppet girl are talking, and the girl says, "I want you to promise me you'll never die." He says, "I can't do that." She says, "I'll sleep with you right now if you promise me you'll never die." So the little guy puppet says, "I will never die." So, they go off and they have their puppet fun, right? But he just thought that line was so funny. I could just see his face saying, "I will never die." But so we had a good time. We got a weekend pass once and went up to Tucson on a weekend. I think it may have been Memorial Weekend, just based on the timing of me graduating around June. We went to a fraternity house up there that I knew about, and I remember drinking Stoli out of little wooden shot glasses. I'd never seen wooden shot glasses before, but drinking, out of wooden shot glasses. And we went to a bar up there called the Trident, which was founded by a Navy SEAL. And then we went, and it went on and on and on, but we had a good time. We remember Tucson, and I think Tucson remembers us from that weekend. But I graduated from that training in 2005, and I went back to finish college, at that point. So I finished, got my degree, graduated from college in 2006, and then I moved to Madison, Wisconsin, where I joined the Wisconsin National Guard. So I transferred from North Carolina to Wisconsin National Guard. So I show up to drill, and a couple months in, we got a letter from the unit commander. The Wisconsin unit was deployed at the time, by the way. So I was there with the rear detachment. So basically, like, people with medical issues that prevented them from deploying, and people that showed up too late to be a part of the deployment. So I was there with the rear detachment, just a handful of us. But the unit was deployed forward to Iraq or Afghanistan. And the unit commander had written a letter, and they said they took their first casualty. So they, in the letter she said, we took our first casualty. It's hit the unit really hard. The worst part is this guy wasn't even a part of our unit. He was a backfill from Fort Hood. He was in, he was a younger guy. He was in his late 20s. He was, a corporal from California. He was a French linguist. I thought to myself, oh boy. So I asked the detachment commander if I could go look up something up online, because of course there were no smartphones back in 2006, right? And sure enough, Corpus didn't make it back from the deployment. And the worst part was he was hit by an IED, but it wasn't a direct hit; it was indirect. The way that they described it in the letter, I think, was that the concussive force, I guess, kind of basically scrambled him in some way. So, they took him back. They got him back they got him back quickly to get medical care. They couldn't do anything for him near the deployment Iraq or Afghanistan. They sent him to Germany, which is where I think our best doctors are, that kind of thing. But after that, he just didn't make it back. So that really shook me, like I'd never known anybody that didn't make it back from deployment before, especially somebody that I lived with and spent time with and got to know. I mean, Bernard was a devout Catholic, despite our comings and goings and our shenanigans in Tucson. I mean, he was really, his faith was really important to him. He went to mass every weekend, every chance he got. Again, he loved hair metal, loved loved Whitesnake and Dokken. But he didn't make it back. And what really messed with my head was that a National Guard unit doesn't deploy unless it's whole, and that's the same for every military unit. But a National Guard unit deploys as a unit. And if there's any empty slots, so say if the unit's supposed to have 80 people and there's only 70, the Army will find the 10 other people somewhere else from like a reserve unit or an active duty unit. And Bernard, because he hadn't deployed, I guess, was backfilled into my National Guard unit from his unit back in Fort Hood, Texas. So realistically, he could have been in my seat. I mean, if I graduated earlier, I could have been in that Humvee instead of him because, he may have taken my seat because I wasn't there to fill that roster spot. So he took it for me, So it's just crazy to think about. So I just wanted to mention that, people join the military for a lot of different reasons. Some do it to serve their country. Some do it to help pay for college. Some do it to learn job skills. Some do it because they feel like they're supposed to, because it's a family thing or a peer pressure thing because all their friends do. But for whatever reason, I just want you guys to remember that Memorial Day is to remember the guys that didn't make it back, like my buddy Paul Corpus didn't make it back. Veterans Day is for the guys that did make it back. Memorial's Day is for the guys that didn't. So don't say Happy Memorial Day. That doesn't really make sense. And if people know someone who's died, it's not really a happy memory. It's kind of not what you want to say to somebody, Happy Memorial Day. So I would just ask you, remember that today. Please take time at 3:00 p.m. That's the official time to take a moment to remember the guys who have fallen and didn't make it back, like Paul, like Bernard, and the other men and women who've died serving our country, so that we can have a 3-day weekend and not have to worry about military intervention, or that we can sleep every night, not having to worry about there being armed conflict outside. So please remember the guys that serve, especially the guys that didn't make it back this weekend. And if you would, for me, at 3:00, listen to a song called "You Just Got Lucky" by Dokken, Dokkn. I'll put the link in the description below. But that was the song that Corpus and I listened to the most in the barracks. So I think of him every time I hear Dokken on the radio. So if you'd listen to that for me today, for him, I'd really appreciate it. So 3:00, please raise a glass to those who have fallen. Please remember those guys. Have a moment of silence and listen to that song for me. I'd appreciate it. I know this has been a long video. Thank you for watching this far. It's really important to me, and I appreciate it. So for now, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye.